Alright then, guys, we are back for your favorite multiple hour long info dump. Let's get ready for this. So, we've got some brand new soldiers that we've just pulled back from that previous mission. We're still deciding what we want to turn Tobata into, but I think I'm leaning between Wayfarer and Dragoon. Let's see what the next few soldiers that we promote turn into before we make that decision. So Bobo over here is an Overseer, Combat Engineer, or Tesla Trooper. Overseer uses a Holo Targeter and a Machine Cannon, like a machine gun, to do little Overwatch combos against their Holo Targeted enemies. This one's not a bad one. The other one is Combat Engineer. These guys carry a grenade launcher specifically meant to shoot smoke grenades, and then they carry shotguns with them to kind of move in and finish off enemies. These guys have some pretty fun combos, and I really like that they get Slamfire. It's a really fun perk that they can get that very few other classes get. The Hell Knight gets Slamfire, but I've been wanting to do some sort of Slamfire build with the Combat Engineer, but you kind of need mobility for that, which Bobo doesn't have. And we also have access to the Tesla Trooper. I don't like the Tesla Trooper very much because their weapon upgrades come at really weird intervals. They get their upgrades at mag tier and plasma tier, so that means during the times that we're running around with laser weapons and coil weapons, they pretty much just don't have an upgrade and they just fall behind really quickly during that time period. So I try to avoid running Tesla Troopers because I feel like it's kind of a bad feeling when a viewer has to like see that their soldier just isn't there for like a third of the campaign. So it's going to be between the Overseer and the Combat Engineer. I guess it wouldn't hurt to have another Holo Targeter unit on the team, seeing as how we have things like the Ranger and the Viper that shoot a lot. Let's take this soldier over here. Overseers use their cannon to control the battlefield with deadly overwatches with the assistance of their Holo Targeter. So their starting perks over here are Covering Fire, Holo Target, and Watchful Eye. Now, the cannon over here, this is pretty standard. It's the same as the one that the gunners have. Holo Targeter over here grants plus 10 aim bonus to any unit attacking the Holo Targeted unit. And there's some other perks that provide even more bonuses, but the standard thing is just, instead of shooting, you use the Holo Targeter to mark an enemy and give your teammates all plus 10 aim bonus against them. Not so great when you just look at it by itself, but once you start stacking other bonuses onto it, it becomes a lot better. Now over here, we have Covering Fire. This is one of the Overwatch perks that you can get. Allows you to overwatch against enemies that choose to stand still and shoot instead of moving. Holo Target, that's pretty self-explanatory. Now this is kind of the unique perk of this class here. Watchful Eye. You get a free overwatch shot when any target you have Holo Targeted moves or attacks. So one of the things about Overwatch is that they tend to get a lot of multi-shot abilities, such as Sentinel and stuff. They get to shoot multiple times, but you don't really get to control who you shoot at, and you have less accuracy. So the accuracy is usually resolved by perks like Cool Under Pressure, but the control over who you get to shoot at is kind of resolved with Watchful Eye. You can mark something with a Holo Target, and your Overwatch will be directed towards it. The one problem is that you have to resolve the shot on the enemy turn, so whether you crit, get the kill, you won't know until the enemy's turn, but it puts a little bit more control back in the player's hand, which is kind of interesting. So their main combo would be, without their Holo Targeter, mark the enemies, and then when the enemy's turn comes, you shoot them to death with your cannon. Very interesting. Now let's go take a look at all of their available perk trees here. They've got multiple lines here. I think I'll go through this based on... Yeah, we'll do it based on line, I think. So the first line over here is the Sentinel line. This will not involve the Holo Targeter, but rather just involve the soldier overwatching naturally. They've got the Ever Vigilant perk, so it's just like the Ranger. When you dash, you get an overwatch, or if you move and you end your turn. This does get cancelled if you open a door or reload with a free reload and an auto loader. Stuff like that does cancel it, so just keep that in mind. You literally can only move if you want to activate your Ever Vigilant. Holo Target. Any directed cannon shot hit or miss will mark the target, so instead of Holo Targeting with their Holo Targeter, they will be making use of their cannon to Holo Target by just shooting the enemies directly. Get access to concentration, grazing attacks upgraded to normal hits, pretty self-explanatory there. Sentinel allows you to take 2 Overwatch shots. Focus. First reaction shot each turn is guaranteed to hit. This is kind of an interesting one. If you have really bad accuracy, like for example, if you got poisoned or you got disoriented, you can still go on Overwatch and you can be certain that your first shot lands. Kind of an interesting perk over here, but I think overall for an Overwatch build, you really want all of your shots to be reliable. So for the most part, I would say Cool Under Pressure is the best choice to pick there. After that, you got your Ready for Anything, enter Overwatch after firing a turn-ending standard shot with your cannon. So essentially the main combo with this class will now be shoot with your cannon. At the end of your turn, you go on Overwatch and you shoot 2 more times into kind of a little triple shot perk over here. Pretty solid. I'd say as far as triple shot builds are concerned, the soldier has pretty good aim at squatty rank. We've got Cool Under Pressure and we've got 3 shots that we can take. A very good build. And of course, finally, you got Kill Zone. You can just mark an entire field of enemies and shoot them all to death, just like the sniper in vanilla does. Very straightforward Overwatch style build up here. Now let's go take a look at their next build. For the next build, I'm going to actually go for the bottom row here, because this is kind of just one of those really strange grenade builds that they just tossed in. Over here, you've got Overlord. When an ally fails to kill a target that you have holo-targeted, you will take a reactionary shot at them. This is great for just a little bit more reliability. Your Overwatch shot won't be guaranteed kills, so early on when you're trying to kill things through cover, even this won't be reliable, but this is better for later on in the game when you're fighting against boss units that don't take cover. You can just mark like a sectopod and you just get bonus damage off with your cannon. This is the build that kind of actually works with their holo-targeter, which is kind of the thing that makes this class interesting with the Watchful Eye perk. I'm going to go into this one a little bit more. Sensor Overlays. All squad members get plus 10 crit chance against enemies you can see. Works in concealment. So just as long as you see the enemies, every single teammate gets plus 10 crit. This is a very powerful perk, and I think I would recommend taking this over the holo-targeting, honestly. Holo-targeting is something that a decent number of classes get. However, Sensor's Overlay is not, so it would be nice to just have one of these. Also, if you have multiple units with Sensor's Overlay, I believe that does stack, so you can get like multiple plus 10 crit chances against all the enemies on the map. High Def Holo, if you're going to make use of your holo-targeter item, right back here, then you definitely want to have your High Def Holo. Attacks against your holo-targeted enemies now have a bonus to critical hit chance. So the base tier holo-targeter gives plus 10 aim, now it also gives plus 10 crit, and as they upgrade it, it will be the equal amount of aim and crit. So the tier 2 holo-targeter will be 15 aim, 15 crit, and then the tier 3 holo-targeter will be 20 aim, 20% crit. Very big numbers, honestly. It might not sound like a lot when you first start playing, but trust me when I say this, 15 and 20 are very big boosts to your accuracy and crit chance. Next perk over here, Rapid Targeting. You may holo-target an enemy as a free action with a 4-turn cooldown. In addition, holo-targeting no longer ends your turn. This is a pretty big perk to have for this class. So think about it this way, okay? You get to not only do a free holo-target, you also get to holo-target again on a second guy, but this next holo-target won't even end your turn. So you get to holo-target 3 guys at once. And all 3 of those guys are going to get hit by the Watchful Eye Overwatch. A very, very powerful combination right there. Highly recommend taking this perk if you're going to go down the holo-target tree. If you're doing the top row over here, then you won't be taking this. You'll have to take Sentinel, unfortunately. But honestly, being able to just shoot 3 times at Staff Sergeant is so nice. I would just say, like, just build a holo-target build on these guys. Unless there's something specific that works with the top row build, the bottom row build is really much more exciting. Cool Under Pressure, you gain plus 10 aim on Overwatch and other reaction shots. They can critically hit. So now, before your Overwatch shots couldn't crit, they were just high accuracy shots with 0% crit chance. You could only do the base damage of your gun. Now you can actually crit, and now High Def Holo is actually relevant to this soldier itself. Plus, it gets the added reliability of plus 10 aim on their shots. Next perk over here is Vital Point Targeting. Attacks with your holo-targeted enemies deal more damage. Very, very good perk. It does 1 bonus damage versus the Holo Targeter Mark 1 and 2. Once you get to the level 3 Holo Targeter, you will get +2 bonus damage. And as we've discussed earlier, bonus damage gets a lot stronger when multiple people are shooting at the same target, which is exactly what a Holo Targeter is doing for you. It's making all of your shots from your team better against one boss unit. Final perk over here is multi-targeting. You may holo target multiple enemies with a 2-turn cooldown. So this AoE is a little bit larger than a grenade's AoE, so this is best used right before breaking out of concealment when all the enemies haven't activated yet. You can just mark a whole bunch of enemies together, and then as soon as you break concealment, you just take overwatch shots against every single one of them. On, is it only on enemy turn or on your turn also? Does not say, so I'm assuming it works on your own turn also. So if you mark a bunch of enemies from concealment and then break that concealment, they are all going to get shot to death, most likely. So that's that. For the most part, I would recommend just bottom row build. Bottom row build just kind of makes the most sense with this build. Unless your accuracy is just so bad, like if you have below 60 accuracy as a rookie and you promote, and you just don't even have like above 65 accuracy, then maybe you consider going the middle row build here. So, total combat, you guys have seen this on the skirmisher before. It gives a whole bunch of grenade perks, but basically our grenades are bigger, we get more movement, we get more aim, we can throw 2 grenades at once now, we can also throw a grenade and shoot, we can do all sorts of things, and your grenade AoE is bigger. This is meant to apparently combo with smoke grenades, combat drugs. A fast-acting stimulant in your smoke grenades grants all units in the initial area 20 aim and 20 will for 2 turns. So I think this is kind of to rectify your poor aim. If you have a soldier with really bad aim, you would take this perk, grab a couple of smoke grenades, and just throw them on top of yourself. Then it will activate the Watch Them Run perk. After throwing or launching a grenade, you will automatically enter Overwatch. Interesting. So that's kind of what this build is meant to be done with. You throw the smoke grenade on top of yourself, give yourself bonus aim, and you get Overwatch. There is some merit to this in the fact that it's not purely a selfish thing, whereas most of these perks power up this soldier, but the smoke grenade kind of powers up allies too. That's not even completely true because holo targeting is a very selfless act. You're boosting up all of your teammates also while you holo target things. But there's some merit to using this maybe. You get fastball, you get to throw free grenades. Light ordnance, increase grenade capacity by 2 in each slot, but decrease grenade damage, so this kind of funnels this person into using smoke grenades more often. Got the Avenger perk, take reaction shots with your cannon if enemies attack you. And finally, super heavy ordnance. The item in your grenade only slot gains 2 bonus uses, and your grenades gain 3 extra tile range. For a smoke grenade, you don't really need extra range. Overall, I think this line over here has a lot of redundant perks. Like, it allows you to throw a free grenade, but you can already throw 1 grenade and go on Overwatch anyways. So it's just kind of overlapping with itself a bunch of times, and this is really just kind of filler, I think, because the person in charge of making the 3rd row just didn't really know what to do with this. I would say stick to over here. This is really the best way you can build your soldier here. A couple of little detours you might take. I'd say when it comes to the holo targeter build, you definitely want every single holo targeter ability, so the only detour that you could take is holo targeting right there. You could give up sensors overlay for holo targeting, and then I believe these 2 types of holos do stack, so holo targeting from your cannon plus your holo targeter. That does give you, like, in the end of the game, like, plus 35 aim or something ridiculous like that. It's actually pretty solid if you do set that all up together. There is some merit to taking holo targeting over sensors overlay, but I think a lot of other classes get this, so you probably don't need your own holo targeting. Now let's take a look down here, see if there's any perks that maybe combo with each other. We got something like Deep Cover. Deep Cover does combo with Ever Vigilant, I believe, so that's something you might consider if you're deciding to run top row. Boosted Cores, I guess if you want to do damage with the middle row build. I don't know about that one though. Tactical Senses, this is a very nice defensive perk over here. You just passively get up to 15 defense. Makes it so that this soldier is less likely to get shot by other enemies on the map. Opportunist, Reaction Fire now ignores half of cover bonuses. this is quite nice. Combined with covering fire, you can shoot at enemies that try to not run your overwatches and just take actions. This also triggers against enemies throwing grenades, casting abilities, I believe. I believe there's very few things that get around covering fire, so this is a great way to just buff your soldier to the point that any enemy that tries to do anything will just be marked for death. Lightning reflexes, this isn't exactly the type of soldier that will be running Overwatch very often. In fact, this is sort of a stationary soldier almost, but you can take it if you have extra points lying around. Got ventilate over here, fire a cannon blast that is guaranteed to hit and destroy target's cover. Kinda nice if you don't have anything else better to do with your turn. You can also do a combo like hollow target and then immediately ventilate them and expose them. That will pretty much guarantee a kill on most non-boss units. And finally, we got rapid reaction over here. Oh boy, this is an interesting one. So when in Overwatch, each shot you hit with grants another reaction fire shot up to a maximum of 3 shots. Unfortunately, this perk does not work with our hollow target build because Watchful Eye doesn't put you on Overwatch, it just gives you a shot against the things that try to move that are hollow targeted. So unfortunately, rapid reaction I don't believe will trigger with this. I could be wrong, and I'm hoping I'm wrong. If someone knows, or if someone is able to read the game's code and can tell me whether or not this works with this, that would be nice. I'm assuming this doesn't work with it though, so I'm gonna probably either not take it or go top row. If you do take rapid reaction, you can get a lot of shots with Sentinel. So with Sentinel, while in Overwatch, you can take 2 reaction shots. And while in Overwatch, each shot you hit grants another reaction fire shot up to a maximum of 3 shots. So, I believe rapid reaction does stack with Sentinel, and you can get some nutty amounts of shots off. I think you either get like 5 or 6 Overwatch shots or something, if I remember correctly. I guess this would be one of the reasons why you wouldn't go the hollow targeter build and you would go top row. Although for the most part with this soldier, I kinda want this soldier in charge of just hollow targeting and overwatching. So I'm probably gonna go this route here. Now, this person does have very high combat intelligence, so we can learn some interesting amount of perks. This is 20, this is 15, so we've learned 35 points worth of perks. I might consider taking rapid reaction, one, just to test it, and even if it doesn't work with the hollow targeter, there's going to be times where we don't hollow target and we're just progressing through a mission passively overwatching, giving the soldier the ability to pull under pressure, opportunist shot at a bunch of enemies would be quite nice. So I think we're just going to go with all of this and make Bobo into our designated hollow target overwatcher. If I decide to, I could also make Bobo into a top row overwatcher and put her on the same team as our rooks and other overwatching units. That's not a bad option either, and I might consider going that route also. We shall see. Next up over here, we're going to be taking a look at Mr. What's your name? Slightly DM. Now over here, we have a decent hack stat, so if we wanted to go Specialist, that is technically an option. But Specialist is less of a hacker and more of a support unit, so I'm leaning against Specialist. I also just don't like the Specialist class as much as my other hacking classes. We do have good aim, and we have the option to be a Sharpshooter and Fusilier. We're already training up 2 Sharpshooters in our GPS right now, so I don't need a Sharpshooter, but I think we're going to play with the Fusilier. This is a very unique kind of class. So let's go train up a Fusilier. The Fusilier Corps specializes in marksmanship, and their effectiveness at long range is second to none. They also wield an auto pistol in case of emergencies. So here we are, here's the class. Same type of equip loadout as most things. The secondary weapon is an auto pistol. I've never used this weapon on this class before because their sniper rifle is just so effective. More so than their sniper rifle, their auto sniper rifle usage is really good. And I'll explain that in a bit, but the auto sniper rifle is basically a higher damaging version of the sniper rifle. It does approximately like 50% more damage? Almost 50% more damage. It's a lot more damage though, overall. And another thing is that they only have 1 ammo in the auto sniper rifle. Or rather, it can only shoot like, The animation it plays shoots like 3 times, so canonically I guess it would have a clip size of 3, but in gameplay functions you have 1 volley of shots with this thing before you have to reload. Now that's not a problem for this class because of the way this class works. So listen closely, this class can be very confusing when you first hear about it, okay? We'll start with the perks that don't matter. So they've got an auto pistol here that they can use. They've got squad sight. Here are the 2 perks where you're going to have to do a lot of reading. I'll try my very best to explain this in a way that makes sense. Tracking shot. Fire a shot that is guaranteed to hit and crit a track target. So you're just guaranteed a crit and no accuracy involved whatsoever. But there's a catch. You have to set this up. Tracking shot is a special attack that is guaranteed to hit and crit. Tracking shot mark is a single action ability that is required to utilize a tracking shot. So you don't get to just click on a target with tracking shot. You have to first activate an ability called tracking shot mark. When selecting a target for tracking, a zone of fire will be displayed. If a marked enemy hits this zone of fire, the tracking shot mark will be lost. Exits this zone of fire, the tracking shot mark will be lost. So pretend you're the hunter in vanilla XCOM, okay? In vanilla War of the Chosen, the hunter does the thing where he marks one of your units from across the map and creates a cone, and if you run out of that cone, he doesn't get to attack you next round. Think of tracking shot mark exactly like that. You make a giant cone and you mark an enemy, and if they exit that cone, then you don't get to shoot them. But if they don't, you get a guaranteed hit that does a crud ton of damage. It does so much. Tracking shot cannot be used if the Fusilier has moved on the current or prior turn. So this is a very, very stationary class. You can't even have moved on the previous turn, otherwise your tracking shot will not be allowed to go off. They have to have stood still for 2 turns, and then they have to have marked on the previous turn. So you cannot move, mark, and then next turn shoot. You'll have to wait an extra turn if you do that. You have to stand still. Targets must be marked for a tracking shot before the tracking shot can be fired. Will always end the turn unless the soldier has the Fusilier perk unlocked and 3 or more Fusil points, at which point it becomes a free action. This is where things just get completely crazy. There's so many effects on their first few perks that are just like front-loaded here, and none of their other perks really matter for their build. If tracking shot would leave an enemy with less health points than the soldier has Fusil points, they receive bonus damage equal to the current Fusil points and will in most cases execute the target. If the soldier does not have squad sight, they will gain it. Okay. So there's a whole bunch of stuff about Fusil points. Here, this is the perk that is going to talk about Fusil points. All primary attacks deal +1 damage for each Fusil point. If the Fusilier has 3 or more Fusil points, tracking shot is a free action. If the Fusilier has maximum Fusil points, Fusilier's damage bonus is doubled on tracking shots. So basically, this is a really long way of saying you mark enemies in a cone, just like the hunter does in vanilla, and you shoot at them. Each time you hit them with one of your special mark shots, you get 1 point, and that will be kept track of in a little UI in the corner during your missions. And you can get up to 6 points. Each one of those points gives you bonus damage, and when you're at 3 points, you can now take shots at marked targets for free, and thus you're allowed to shoot them, reload, and mark all in 1 turn. That is essentially what that means, and that is why the auto sniper is so good. This is a class that is terrible on missions where you need to be mobile, so any timed missions, any missions that have a timer, any missions that require you to move around and get to a point, they are not going to be particularly useful on them. Any missions where enemies close the distance on you, those are also kind of bad because their entire kit hinges on them being able to mark things in a cone. So any missions where you're allowed to take your time and stand very far away from the field of combat, that is the best type of mission for this class. And they are like an automatic S tier pick for those types of missions. But every other type of missions, they suddenly fall from like S tier down to like C tier and below just because of that. I'll go through some of these perks, but for the most part, they're just going to be using their tracking shot and their tracking mark. None of this stuff is going to matter. For example, hunkering down, you get +10, +20 aim, +20 crit. That doesn't matter. The tracking shot gets you a guaranteed hit. If you did not attack this turn, hunker down automatically. That doesn't matter. You're out of range of most enemies anyways. Long watch, allow overwatch to trigger with squad sight. you don't care about that because you're not going to be overwatching. See what I mean when I say like half of this stuff doesn't matter? Steady hands. If you did not move last turn, gain aim and crit chance. That doesn't matter, you're marking things and hitting them with 100% crit chance anyways. Run and gun. Take an action after dashing. We don't care about that, we want to stand still so we can take our tracking shot marks. Return fire. We're going to be at squad sight. We're never going to be using our auto pistol to shoot back at enemies. Shredder. This has some relevance because they're going to be marking things and shooting them, but for the most part, like, maybe 80% of the stuff that you shoot at with this soldier is going to automatically die, but out of all the perks here, this is one that has the most relevance. Eagle's Nest. Reaction fire with height advantage against the target has aim bonus. We don't care about aim, and we don't care about reaction fire. Next. Lightning Hands. We're never within range of the enemies. Deadeye. Take a shot with a small aim penalty for a significant damage boost. There's some reasons to use this, and there's some reasons to have steady hands. So there are times where you won't be able to mark the enemies for a round and then shoot them next round. Sometimes you just need an immediate shot, in which case you would be taking Deadeye. So that would be the one reason that you would do that. Grappling Hook. Mounts a grappling hook cable on the left arm and allows you to grapple around for free. This does count as a move with the way this is coded, so if you grappling hook, you still cannot tracking shot. Quick draw. You're not using your auto pistol at all. Rupture. This one's kind of interesting. If you can't mark a target, you can at least hit it with a rupture and kind of weaken it down for the rest of your team. One of the few ways that this class can actually get a bit of team support going. Implacable. You don't want to be moving after you kill your targets. Twin Shot. Take a shot with an aim penalty of -10. If you hit the target, take another shot. I believe this only works for the auto pistol, but I could be wrong. I could be wrong about this. I believe Chain Shot is the one that uses your primary weapon. I think Twin Shot only works with your auto pistol. If someone has played with the Fusilier class, just let me know. I could have sworn in the past Reshi said this only worked with the auto pistol. And over here, we got a couple more perks here. Death from Above. Once per turn, killing an enemy at a lower elevation with your auto sniper rifle refunds a single action point and does not end your turn. Well, you will be killing things, so there's that. Once you get 3 charges on your Fusil charge thingy, then your shots are now free, so in that sense, this isn't as relevant. But if you're ever shooting without marking things and you need to rely on accuracy, the second part of this perk does actually become relevant. Decreases the long-range penalties for sniper rifles and vector rifles by 50%. So at extremely long distances, if you're not using your tracking shot mark, you have to suffer a lot of aim penalty. This allows you to overcome that and allows a soldier to kind of act as a long-range sniper. So not a bad perk to take. However, we got a slightly better one over here. Sniper's Mantra. If the Fusilier has not moved this turn, deal +2 damage. Personally, I think this is a little bit better, but this does have relevance for this type of build. Face Off, if you're in the middle of a bunch of enemies, you can use this, but honestly, like, why would you ever take this on the Fusilier class? Now, I'm gonna go from bottom up here. Bullet Swarm. Crazily fire the auto pistol with utter disregard for aim, guaranteeing a hit against the target. Once again, no need to use the auto pistol. Hawkeyes. +4 sight range and +10 aim. The sight range is actually kind of an interesting little gimmick there. There's very few things in the game that actually affects sight range, and I believe this also affects your shooting range, so you effectively have more range than the enemies can actually hit you with. And if you don't have a spotter, this guy can essentially spot for themselves, but it does require you to be somewhat close to the enemies, which can be detrimental, and this is a class that you don't want to be moving around with very often. So while it's interesting, I probably won't be taking Hawkeyes, except in very edge circumstances. Final perk over here, this is one that really matters for this class. Slaughterhouse. Mark all targets within a cone for tracking shot with a laser sight if the Fusilier has line of sight to the target. If the targets do not move too far or break line of fire, the soldier gets the ability to fire a tracking shot at any of the tracked targets if the soldier has not moved on the current or prior turn. So essentially, this allows you to mark multiple targets with your tracking shot mark, and When this goes off, oh boy, you are just going to annihilate an entire pod of enemies. Just single-handedly. This is such a good perk for wiping out like little minions and stuff. When you get up to that point, of course. Master Sergeant is very far away. But yeah, that is going to be our build. So let's take a look at the perks down here, see if any of these things actually change our mind on how we want to build the soldier. We do get access to Serial. If we want to convert the soldier into a standard sharpshooter, we have that option with Serial. We have Covering Fire and Cool Under Pressure if we want to do some sort of janky Overwatch build with this guy. They got Long Watch, they got Cool Under Pressure, they do have Covering Fire. I think if they had access to things like Sentinel or Rapid Reaction in the Master Sergeant level, I might consider taking these, but for the most part, a single Overwatch with the Fusilier isn't particularly great, so I probably won't be going for that. We do get Field Medic. This is a very good perk. Extra medkits are never a bad thing, especially on long missions. Conceal? Shadow Strike. We do have some stealthy options for these guys, but overall, not particularly relevant. You can already get guaranteed hits and crits. This is kind of like a hit and crit on demand if you really badly need it and you just can't mark the target for whatever reason. I guess you could go for that route, but honestly just go for your tracking shot. It'll build up your fusel charges also. This will not. Shadow Step, you're out of sight. You don't need that Shadow Step. Okay, so for the most part, I'm seeing this and this are really the only two relevant perks. You've got low intelligence, so you won't really be able to learn too much stuff. I'm thinking what we'll do is we'll just give you the Serial and call it a day. That way, if you can't mark things for whatever reason, you can still just act as a traditional sniper with either Death from Above, or we take Sniper's Mantra for more damage. I'm not really sure which direction I want to go in on the soldier yet. But yeah, that is going to be our build. And as for the perks up here, I don't know. Well, which one of these do you guys think is most relevant? Deep cover, I guess, since if we don't attack this turn, I guess if we mark something, we'll hunker down, and if an enemy gets up to us, we'll have defense, maybe. Aim has some relevance. Aim does allow me to get bonus accuracy on Deadeye if I am planning on taking that shot. I think we'll try taking aim on the soldier. That probably makes the most sense. Alright, and that's the Fusel class. Alright, next class that we gotta look at over here. We have access to a Stormtrooper, Gunner, and Roboticist. Now, 59 aim is very far below average. 18 mobility is very high above average. Ooh. What do we do with an 18 mobility soldier? You know, I didn't notice that Yulo was an 18 mobility soldier when I took her on that last mission. If I remembered that, I would have actually trained her into something else entirely and done a completely different build. But unfortunately I didn't pay attention, so here we are. Stormtrooper with mobility is not bad, but Stormtrooper is also kind of weak in Beyond Legendary because everything has armor, and the Stormtrooper uses the Bullpup, which is a slightly weaker gun, unfortunately. I may not be able to make full use of the Stormtrooper. That leaves either the Gunner or the Roboticist. I'm thinking I'll probably turn her into a Roboticist. You kind of need accuracy to be a Gunner. Roboticist could probably make use of that mobility. Let's take a look at some of our other classes before we commit to that, though. We got What's an Airport over here. What's an Airport has access to Roboticist, Stormtrooper, and Dragoon. Okay, and then up here we've got Tobata, who's got Grenadier, Wayfarer, and Dragoon. We got a couple of options here. I'm thinking maybe, just maybe, we can do a nice and fun little stealthy hack squad running some Dragoons. So I'm going to go through this with you guys so you guys have an idea of what I'm talking about. I picked Dragoon class on this guy. He's got average hack stat. 5 is about average when it comes to hack stat. Alright, let's take a look over here at his side perks really quick. He's got an Interrogate. Ooh, I like that. Also has things like Medical Protocol and stuff. Low intelligence means I can't learn all of this, of course, but I'm just gonna mark them all. Alright, so let's go over the Dragoon class. Have you not blocking off all the icons, please? Your arms are very big, Tobata. Okay, and also this kind of fits his theme, right? He's like half robotic anyways. The Dragoon is like sort of a pseudo-support tank hacker type unit. They get the ability to hack. Now, instead of a gremlin, they have a bit, the spark bit. Very armored, and because they have a spark bit, they also get access to a bit heavy weapon. Overall, I think I actually like Restorative Mist the most, although in the early game, Shredder Gun and Plasma Blaster are both quite solid. I'll probably go with Plasma Blaster. This has wider AoE, and while it looks like it does more damage, it has damage fall off with distance. So this actually falls off in damage quite a bit. This does give 2 Shred, but this gives Rupture. And does this give Shred? This one does not give Shred. This one does actually destroy cover quite well, though. I remember using this a few times. This thing wrecks cover really effectively. So I'll probably end up using the Plasma Blaster early, and then later on, as this guy turns into more of a support role, we switch over to the Restorative Mist. They carry a cannon as their other weapon. They can also use assault rifles if you want slightly less infiltration timer, but the cannon does do a bit more damage. Now then, they have a couple of builds here, so let's go through each of them. I'm going to go through my preferred hacker build first. So we're just going to mark all of these off real quickly here. Okay then. So first things first, they get hack, so they can actually hack objectives, just like the specialist class in vanilla can. They get Haywire Protocol, so they get to try and take temporary control over an enemy or stun an enemy mech. They also have the tank perk, gain additional armor points based on equipped armor. So if you give them heavy weapon armors, they will get a little bit more armor than usual. Finally, this is kind of a unique thing to them. If you think of like combat protocol and medical protocol as kind of the thing that the regular specialist does, this kind of unit uses the shield protocol. Grant a friendly unit bonus ablative hit points, so bonus shield hit points, the orange HP bars that you see that our soldiers have. The shield also grants poison immunity until all ablative hit points are lost. That's a nice little bonus. I don't really notice it too much, but when it does come in handy, it does come in handy. So this guy shields teammates, and that is an excellent combination with our Hell Knight, which is purely a shield soldier over here. So why don't we go take a look at how we might support that guy. So the first perk over here that we're going to be taking is Advanced Intrusion. Gain the Failsafe and Trojan. So Failsafe makes it so that if you fail a hack, you don't have the negative effects happen. So how many times have you ever tried hacking an enemy mech, and the enemy mech just doesn't get hacked, and now it's like a super mech with higher mobility, higher accuracy, and just starts killing your team? This negates that. The Trojan perk is a unique perk over here. This is a very fun one. Enemies affected by Haywire Protocol will take damage and lose their actions on the turn that the hack effect ends. So normally when you take control of a drone or a mech, you have to make sure to kill it before the hack effect ends, otherwise they will turn around and start shooting you on that turn. Trojan makes it so that you don't have to worry about that anymore. The game will take away their action points and make them take some damage. Now what's really interesting about this is this will also work on the stun. So that means the stun is now effectively a 2-turn stun while dealing damage to enemies. Very useful, and it's one of your methods of killing off Advent drones. Advent drones don't really have a lot of HP, so they will tend to die from the Trojan damage. Quite nice to have. I think if you're going to do anything hack-related, you definitely want to have Advanced Intrusion on this soldier. Next perk over here, we've got access to Suppressing Fire. Provides suppressing fire and also includes the suppression ability if the soldier does not already possess that ability. You guys know me, I like suppression. I think it's quite cool. Not always reliable, but it's helpful for controlling certain types of enemies. Now suppressing fire means you can shoot with your gun, and your gun, if you don't kill the enemy with your gun, you'll automatically suppress them afterwards. So have you ever had those moments where you're like flanking an enemy and you've got like a 70 or 80% chance to hit them, and you're like, do I take this shot or do I suppress them so they don't like take an action? Well, now you get the best of both worlds. You get to take the shot, and if you don't get the kill, now you're suppressing them. Quite an interesting ability there. Renewal Protocol is another ability that's quite new for any of you guys who have not played modded. Grants a unit 2 points of HP regeneration every turn to a maximum of 8, 10, and 12 points. Also stabilizes and revives bleeding out or unconscious units and removes some debuffs. Now 8 HP is kind of overkill for the early game. Most units will only have like about 5 HP at this point. But once you start getting armors and once you start getting rank ups, you're going to start building up a larger HP pool, and this will essentially become more effective than a medkit at healing a guy at full HP, but it's not very effective at topping people off in the midst of combat. So this is kind of something that you would use after combat to get a guy up to full HP without having to spend 3 medkits on them. Overall, an okay ability. Also revives people, so you can stabilize bleeding out people, and it does remove some debuffs. I think those debuffs are like poison, the usual stuff that medkits can get rid of. A solid choice if you want to go for that perk, but I think I'm going to go with Shield Battery. Grants 2 additional Shield Protocol charges. So at the beginning of the game, you start off with 2 uses of the Shield Protocol, I believe. 2 charges per mission. This allows you to shield people for shield 4 people. You can't stack shield on one person, so you can't have one person with like 12 bonus HP, unfortunately. But you do get to give your entire team effectively 12 more HP when you're using the basic spark bit. Once you upgrade it, of course, it becomes 16 and 20 bonus HP for your entire squad. Quite nice. In the early game, this works out very well for just making sure your team doesn't get wounded and having to take vacation time and stuff. Very good perk to have. Overall, I would say this is my top pick here. Now, next perk over here. We've got access to Phalanx Protocol. Your Gremlin moves to every ally, granting all of them a defense bonus until the start of your next turn. This is essentially an aid protocol for your entire squad. It's actually quite good. Gets 2 charges. So if you're in a desperate situation where there's a lot of enemies active on the map, you just press this button and you protect your entire team. 20 defense is quite powerful. The other choice over here is Aegis. Shield Protocol also reduces all incoming damage by 20%. This combos incredibly well with the Hell Knight's ability here. Hardened Shields. You can basically reduce damage taken by the Hell Knight down to like 1 damage from all attacks once you get to that point. Quite an interesting combination that you can go for. However, I will likely pick Enhanced Overlays instead, because this gives us 2 very powerful perks. This gives us access to ECM and Sensors Overlay. So, Sensors Overlay is the one that you saw earlier on that other soldier. It gives 10% bonus crit chance to everything that you can see. And if you have multiple Dragoons, so for example, if I have this Dragoon and that other soldier with the Sensors Overlay ability, now we get 20 bonus crit chance on everything that you can see. See where we're going with this? Now, ECM is another very interesting ability. Provides reduced detection radius. This makes it so that we are 10% more stealthy. So the red circles surrounding the enemies when you're trying to sneak around, that gets reduced by 10%. That also stacks. If you have multiple people with enhanced overlays, you can pretty much get your squad's detection radius down very, very low. With the Shinobi class, you can be virtually undetectable if you have enough of these guys. So right now, it's kind of a question. Do you want to support your Hell Knights, or do you want to support your squad with stealthiness? I think we're planning on making a stealth squad, but yeah, I don't know. If we have enough people to make a stealth squad, I definitely want to try going enhanced overlays. If I can't though, that'll be unfortunate, but that's that. Next perk over here is going to be Full Override. This perk is going to give us the ability to permanently take control of a robotic unit. This is very hard to succeed on some of the higher level enemies. It's a lot more difficult than the mind control on Haywire Protocol. The first tier hack that you can do is a 3-turn stun, I think, or a 2-turn stun. I don't remember how much it was. But there's some very interesting effects from Full Override that they don't mention here, or maybe they do in the more detailed stuff. So right here they describe the Raider Shutdown and all that stuff. Costs 1 action, ends turn. Second hack option, Master Enemy will grant control of the enemy unit for the rest of the turn with a stat boost a stat bonus for all robots and will permanently transfer any mech units to the resistance. So what does that actually mean? Well, first let's read the first part. So you get permanent control. It is essentially an ally to you now. Even if this soldier dies, gets mind controlled, gets disoriented, or stunned, you keep control of whatever you full overrided. Not only that, the unit that you full overrided will get a stat bonus, so that's like aim, stuff like that. But even more interestingly, you get permanent control of it after the mission. Now, this might be confusing. You're asking, like, does it get transferred to your roster? No. What that means is, if you look over here, there's a mech management slot. No mechs in this outpost. When you hack a mech, if it manages to get to the evac zone and it evacs with your squad, if you hack a drone and it manages to evac with your squad, it gets posted to the haven in which you hacked it in. And once you do that, you will have access to all of these mechs during Haven retaliation missions. You don't get them for data pads, unfortunately, but you get them for retaliation missions as well as faceless hunt missions. Anything that involves your rebels that's not a data tab mission, you will have access to them. Very exciting. Very, very fun perk to play around with. It's always an exciting campaign when you have like a bunch of full overrided mechanical enemies in your base, just like killing all the enemies when they try to attack you. I find that very exciting, at least. So yeah, that's that. Let me find my Dragoon really quick. I'm almost definitely taking full override. Like, containment field, that's like stasis, that's good. But is it really as good as taking control of a sectopod good? Yeah, you can't beat that. Like, chain shot, sure, you get to shoot twice, but any other class can shoot twice. No other class can take control of a big mech and just run down the enemies with it. Next perk over here, we got access to Shredder, we got access to Heavy Weapons Expert, so we get more of the bits heavy weapons. I'm probably gonna do something involving the stealth squad with this guy, so I'm probably gonna take a stealth protocol here. Next perk down here, we do get access to Rupture, Rainmaker, that's the vanilla spark ability, which makes your AoEs larger on your heavy weapons. But what we're gonna be taking is Supercharge. All Gremlin abilities gain 1 additional charge. This includes our Shield Protocol, and this also includes full override. Normally you can only full override 1 enemy per mission. If you take Supercharge, you get to have 2 enemies per mission. What's better than 1 sectopod? 2 sectopods. There you go. And then for the final perk over here, we got access to Stasis Fields, we've got access to Heavy Hitter. Fun stuff. Stasis Fields is actually a really good perk. Puts the soldier and all nearby units within range into stasis. You get to either defend your entire team by just huddling around this guy, or you can run up to a group of enemies and just stun them all. Puppeteer's the interesting one though. Haywire Protocol no longer has a cooldown and doesn't end the turn. What does that effectively mean though? That means if you run into a pod that contains 5 mechanical enemy units, you get to roll your Haywire Protocol chance against them, each one of them 1 time. So, assuming you have a 50% success chance, that means half of the enemies on the map are just getting mind controlled by your Puppeteer real quick. Very fun perk over here, very exciting, and very good for the end game. The end game, when there's a lot of those super big mechs, you really, really want to be able to shut them down effectively. Puppeteer is so good for that reason. Alright, also, to note, this is not with the full override. You cannot use full override with Puppeteer. It has to be the temporary control. Just so you guys are clear. Alright, but that is going to be our build. For the most part, I am going to be building our Dragoon in approximately this way. The real decision is going to be made on whether or not I want to support our tank or whether or not I want to support our stealth team. We have access to things like Interrogator, we have access to things like Revival Protocol. Interrogator is for the Skulljack. In +1 skull mining charge when carrying the Skulljack, this is a very good thing to pick up. Highly recommend to have this because hacking units will tend to carry a Skulljack, because once you unlock certain technologies, the Skulljack gives you +25 hack stat, which is a very big deal for succeeding your full overrides. Definitely want to make sure that you have a Skulljack with you. Revival Protocol is very good. Removing stuns is very helpful, especially against drones. Having your people stunned for 2 turns is just such a pain in the butt. You really want to make sure that you can get past that. Medical protocol is also a very good thing to have. It is a very safe thing. No matter where your soldiers are bleeding out from, you can stabilize them. Very good perk to have. I would like to always have this perk on my hacker units if possible. This guy's intelligence is kind of low though, so I can't learn all of these without kind of eating into our XCOM AP. I will have to decide which one of these I'll let go of. I'm not sure yet. I'll probably let go of Revival Protocol, but I may end up letting go of Medical Protocol depending on possible reasons. Now then, down over here. We could go Stormtrooper, like I said earlier. The Stormtrooper is like an aggressive flanking type of build with a weak weapon, but they get to shoot multiple times at the enemies while they're on their flanks, and they have some grenade support also. But I think what I'll do with Eula is I'm going to head into Roboticist here. Try to have more of a hacking presence on this team composition, I think. This can be very interesting, and I'm going to just take a quick look through here. Okay, so this class over here gets access to the shotgun. That's one of the reasons why I decided to make Eula into a Roboticist, because she does get access to a shotgun with very high mobility here. She comes with access to the Slugger perk, negates the long-range penalty of shotguns. Oh wow, is that just permanent? Normally with the Slugger perk, it's on a cooldown. It's called like Slugshot or something. You have to activate it as a special ability, and then it goes on cooldown for a bit. This just allows her to treat her shotgun like an assault rifle. This is actually kind of nutty, in fact. I'm gonna give you the hunting shotgun for extra bonus damage. I like that though. Disassembly over here. Killing an enemy grants a stackable plus 20 hack bonus that lasts 3 turns. This is quite interesting. If you're able to ignore a mechanical enemy for 1 round, and you can get yourself like 1 or 2 kills during that time frame, you can give yourself up to like 20, 40 hack stat bonus, and then get a really good advantage on whatever you're trying to hack. This is quite interesting. I will try to play around with this, especially because Eula has the mobility to kind of act like a an assault almost, some sort of close-range shotgun user. She does get the hacking ability, as well as the Haywire Protocol ability. So this is the temporary hack ability. They do get access to full override, which is what I'm most excited about. If you can get like 20 bonus hack stat and then click on full override against the Sectopod, you may very well get it. You may get it. Now, unlike the other Dragoon class, these guys get the Armor Protocol. Send your Gremlin to protect an ally, temporarily increasing their armor and dodge, but reducing defense. So what this means is they are more likely to get hit, but if they get hit, most of the damage will be eaten by armor, and they also have a very high chance to dodge the hit, so the hit will graze them instead. Essentially, this is good for tanks that rely on armor and just taking 1 damage every single round. Things like our Rook would really rely on this type of stuff here. Failsafe. If you fail a hack, you prevent any negative effects from occurring, and you get an action point back. That's always a nice one to have. Caustic Protocol down here is kind of like Combat Protocol, except instead, you deal acid damage, apply acid burning, and you shred armor. Very useful ability here. As for which one I would pick, I'm not sure yet. I'll have to think about all of this. Let's read through all of these, because this is a class that I haven't really looked at yet, ever since they got a little update here. Heat Arsenal confers plus 30% damage against robotic units. If we don't care about hacking a drone, we can just kill it, and that will assist us in getting more disassembly bonuses. Trojan. Enemy units hacked by Haywire Protocol take 0 to 8 damage and lose their actions on the turn the hack defense ends. Same ability that the Dragoon has. I think if we're going to be involving the soldier in hacking enemies, we probably want to have access to Trojan here. Caustic Engineer, Caustic Protocol, Acid Grenade Airdrop, and Acid Mine Protocol all gain 1 charge. So if you want to do something involving acid, you can do that, but I think for the most part, I'm going to mostly be focusing on taking advantage of disassembly and trying to hack our enemies here. Shotgun Finesse. Plus 10 crit chance and 3 mobility. Oh my goodness, you can get a really fast Roboticist with this. I don't even know if she needs that extra mobility, but she can get it. Alright, here's an interesting one. Deployable drone. I think this is where all the changes are since I last checked this class out. Deploy a drone that has stats based on the gremlin tier, usable 1 times per mission. Deploy a drone that has stats based on gremlin tier, usable 1 time per mission. Here's the stats of the drone. Right there. Got a decent amount of health, and it comes with the stun abilities. So it's just like the enemy drones that we've been fighting. They can stun, they can disorient, and they can also repair other mechanical enemies. Interesting. I'll probably do something related to this, honestly. That would just be too cool not to take advantage of. Run and gun, if we want to get kills for disassembly, this is probably the way to go. We've also got access to Hotwire Protocol. Supercharge an allied mechanical unit, giving them standard action point, usable 3 times per mission. Ooh. Interesting, interesting. We get to power up our mechs that we hack. Cold-blooded, this is mostly acid support. We don't really care too much about that. You got Fracture. If you really want to kill stuff, then you take Fracture, but really the point of killing stuff is so I can use full override, so I kind of have to give up on this one. Full override, same as the one that the Dragoon has. We're definitely going to be taking this. Alright, next perk over here is going to be Double Tap. Activate to fire a standard shot and gain a second action restricted to an additional shot or overwatching. This one's quite interesting. We can either use this to shoot at a single enemy twice, or you can use this to shoot at 2 enemies. One valuable thing about this is that if I can score 2 kills in 1 turn, I will get the disassembly bonus twice. That's 40 bonus hack stat. And, I mean, that's essentially doubling our hack stat as a squatty. And then, at Gunnery Sergeant, of course, we're going to have much higher hack stat, but 40 bonus hack stat is nothing to laugh at. And, yeah. I think we'll probably be taking Double Tap just to help her score kills. The other perk that we get down here is Mechanical Supremacy. Supercharge an allied mechanical unit, increasing their aim, crit defense, dodge, armor, and mobility based on gremlin tier. This is pretty good too, though. I don't know. This is a tough one. The buff lasts for 4 turns. Like, imagine getting 4 extra armor for 4 turns. You can tank just about anything that this mod has to offer with that. Well, almost anything. There's some really nasty stuff out there. But yeah, this is really, really good. Plus 8 mobility for 4 turns? That's insane, actually. It's a question of whether or not I want to have higher hack stat, or if I want to have a super powered mech. That is going to be a tough choice to be made. I'm not sure which one I want to pick on that one yet. And finally, we get 2 interesting choices over here. One choice is Supercharge. We saw this on the Dragoon. This does give us an extra use of our full override. That is something that I would probably want to do. And this will also give me an extra use of the Armor Protocol. If I decide to go in that direction. I probably will, honestly. Then over here we've got the Deployable Resistance. It's not saying here. Come on, Eula, get your gun out of the way. I can't see. Deployable Resistance Mech. There we go. So, unlike this one, which deploys a drone, this one, we get an entire mech. The standing up ones that hold a gun, just like the ones that appear on your missions. Comes with quite a few good stats here. It's kind of low on health, though. It is a little bit weak. Like, magnetic tier is what we're going to be stuck with for a majority of the game. Once we get the plasma weapons, it'll be really nice, but you need to down a sectopod before you get, like, the 8 health ones. 20 defense, 6 health, 1 armor. It's kind of weak. It'll probably get one-shot by most things. So even though this would be nice to have, like, a cool mech that can walk around and shoot with you, it sounds good on paper, but in practice, I think this will fall apart very quickly. So I think we're going to lean towards taking Supercharge over here. And we will instead use these perks to power up the things that we mind control instead of the mech that we summon. That should be quite interesting. I'm looking forward to using this soldier. I think Eula will be a very, very fun soldier to play with. And now we got one last soldier here to pick from. We can do another Roboticist, we can do another Dragoon. I'm thinking one Roboticist is enough, because the Roboticist needs to score kills, right? Like, they need to score kills to get their disassembly bonus. You don't want them cannibalizing each other's kills. So instead, we'll make the other person into another Dragoon, I think. A double Dragoon team comp. Quite interesting. We have access to a couple of interesting abilities here. Average intelligence. Gets access to Winter Protocol. Field Surge. I might do something like this for our abilities. As for the perks that the Dragoon's gonna take, I'm definitely gonna be taking Puppeteer, followed by Supercharge, Stealth Protocol, Full Override, Enhanced Overlays, probably more shielding, and finally Advanced Intrusion. I may consider taking one person down the path of Aegis just to try out a sort of really tanky support. This person is particularly good at hacking because they've got 8 hack stat instead of the usual 5. Hooray, 3 more points. They've got above average hack stat though, so that's the important thing. With average intelligence, we can learn up to 42 points of things. This is not a class that I'm going to be shooting with too often, so we need to pick between these things. This gives us about 35 points. I could also take something here off and maybe slot in Toxic Protocol, maybe? Not the worst option. Being able to debuff enemies with poison could be a good thing. I think making you just extra tanky, though, that's probably not a bad idea. We'll just make this Dragoon extra tanky. Shield Surge will also give us 3 armor whenever we Shield Protocol an ally. For 1 turn only, though. So that's on the initial turn that they take the hits. So this allows us to make our units a bit bulkier, but we have to be more decisive. So rather than just giving everyone shields at the start of the mission, you're going to have to like hold on to some of your shield charges and wait to give it to someone right as they're about to get shot like 3 times in the back by an enemy or something. Alright, that is going to be our set of perks over here. And that is going to be everyone trained up. Alright, the last 2 soldiers that we're going to be training up as rookies are going to be Bonsai Warrior and Toki. So say goodbye to these 2-3 hour sessions of discussions about classes and perks and stuff. We will now have normally timed and spaced out episodes for the strategic layer. Let's head back over into the Geoscape and prepare to deal with our next mission. I'm gonna scan over here and just try to find our second mission in this slot. There's also 2 missions down there to be found, but we're more likely to find good missions up here, so I want to get some good quality missions. Before the next month arrives though, let's just take one last check on the black market, see if there's any classes that we want to buy over here. We have a gorilla, we have a knight. I don't think I need a gorilla. This is like a hollow target shotgun build. The knight, maybe the knight. It would be fun to have like a slightly tanky unit that can run down their enemies. I'm also planning on building a... I could wait till next month. Next month, all the people that we get will be Lance Corporals. It might be better if we just wait a bit. Have some patience here. I don't want to sell the last drone wreck. We're going to need that to do research.
Setting course for Western United
So yeah, let's
States.
head back over here and look for our next batch of missions. Once the next supply drop comes in, we will now have more than 2 missions in each region, so we're going to have to stay on top of the main region that we want to scan on, which is probably going to be our starting region. This has the most amount of people on intel. We have all these people on intel, and our mission finding powers will be quite high here. We would like to set up a second region, but first I want to contest Advent for this region. See how the vigilance over here is 3? That means Advent is getting ready to move more legions into the spot, and if the strength rises too high, we won't be able to do missions here anymore, so I want to just quickly take advantage of that.
Priority message coming through, Commander. Putting it on screen now.
I had high hopes for the Resistance under your leadership.
And as you guys can
Commander,
see, we have
and
0
you
supplies
have
on our first
outdone
month.
yourself.
You're gonna have to get used to running with 0 supplies for a while if you want to
Commander,
consistently
I've learned that we have
find,
new opportunities to strike at the elders.
if you want to consistently
Should you wish
find,
to pursue
what's it
them.
called? Find missions. Now, we have the ability to take an action over here. I completely forgot about this. I always forget to save a soldier for this thing. So, we have a problem. I have a bounty hunter that needs to be trained up, but I don't have any good soldiers with accuracy, which is kind of what we need for a bounty hunter. We can wait for a better rookie, or we can just suck it up and take a 58 aim bounty hunter. I kind of don't want a low accuracy bounty hunter unless I'm doing some sort of special build with them. Let's take a look at those 2 rookies and see if there's any standout stats with these guys. They've got good amounts of HP, so that's good. Maybe I do like a frontline bounty hunter? I guess I do that. I was planning on doing a ranged bounty hunter, but I might have to do a frontline bounty hunter. They both have 15 mobility and 7 HP. Okay. We're gonna do a special type of bounty hunter. Now, if you guys are wondering what this is, the bounty hunter is considered a hero class. So it is something that you can only train up in here, and we will only get to do this once. If our bounty hunter dies, I think we get the training session again, but only if they die. As for who I want to turn into our bounty hunter, I guess we'll do a bounty hunter with always gonna throw, and we'll turn Adam Wing into our shinobi. That should be fine, I guess.
My kind will do whatever is needed.
Okay, and let's keep on scanning here. Get ourselves an engineer from this mission, but there's only 5 days on it. We might not be able to get that engineer. We'll take a look though. I'm hoping we can pick up the extra engineer. We're aiming to try and hit 4 engineers before we get the mag weapons. And there's a bit of lag here, but the mission has loaded. With a team of 4 soldiers, or 5 soldiers, this goes down to 85% max infiltration. It's a little bit of a tough one to do. If I take off 1 soldier, I could try doing a 4-man variant of this mission. Kinda risky, but it might be worth it just for the engineer. It might be worth it. If I am gonna do this, I absolutely want to make sure that I have my strongest soldiers on this mission. We have things like the Buccaneer, we have things like an Arsonist. We might be able to make this work. I do need like a good stealth unit. Extract VIP is one of those mission types that don't give you a concealed start. You're revealed at the beginning. This is sort of one of those riskier missions. I think I won't do this unless I have like a unit that comes with concealment of some sort. And it seems like none of these get it. I don't think the Sidewinder has it. Let me check out our snake over here. Yeah, until you get to Sergeant, you don't get your Phantom. So we might be skipping out on this one, unfortunately. Oh, that's very unfortunate. Something that you can do is you can spend 30 intel to boost, but I really don't want to spend 30 intel on that mission down there. Got another mission over here. This one's much better. Much better amounts of timing on this one. Let's send out a squad. I think for this mission over here, there is no hacking involved, so we will not send any of our hackers on this one. Instead, we'll send in maybe Antarezic, our Hell Knight. And perhaps we will bring along... Let's do 1 flamethrower person. followed by our marksman and one of our rooks, maybe. We'll bring Shinan on this one. Maybe two of our rooks. We are planning on having them together as a team. Maybe we could try to have them form a bond on this mission. That's not a bad idea. Let's go with that idea. Hunting shotgun is just much better than regular shotgun. Ceramic plating, flashbang, medkit, specialty. There we go, you're loaded up. Rook over here. Make sure that you're loaded up also. I'm probably going to go with a grenade just so we can kill drones. I want to make sure that any drones that show up, we can just down them pretty easily. Got an arsonist over here. I'm going to give this arsonist our disposable rocket launcher. This is a single-use rocket that does a decent amount of damage. The arsonist struggles to kill mechanical enemies with armor, so I kind of want to give them that, just for that reason. As well as an extra frag grenade. Marksman over here. Now, don't be deceived by the fact that this guy has a sniper rifle. This is a close quarters unit. Or like a mid-range unit, kind of. Mid-range to close quarter. I'm going to use the auto sniper rifle because it does a little bit more damage. These guys get access to snapshots, so they are allowed to shoot and reload and shoot. Something that snipers can't do with the auto sniper. Alright then. Let's get you guys out there. This should be a very straightforward mission. Extract supplies just like that other mission that we just did earlier. And there goes the Bradford Ranger.
Sky Ranger
In position for deployment.
There we go, we found another mission there. Now we're looking for a very specific type of mission.
Sector 9,
This specific
Western
type of
United
mission is
States.
called a liberation mission. Keep on scanning over here and see if we can find it. But before we do anything else though, this mission is available, and right before I launch that, let's just do one last check on the black market, see if there's any new soldiers that we want to buy, since it is a new supply drop month. We have access to a hijacker. Ooh, hijacker. I want a hijacker, actually. Pick this guy up. Definitely want a hijacker. In terms of sales here, I don't think I want to sell any of this stuff. Alright, one last look at a final soldier before we do the next thing. This soldier has 63 hack stat. I don't know if that's considered good or average, but take a look at this fellow over here. Derek Le. Now, Hijacker is a very unique type of class. They start off with Phantom, they start off with the hack ability, as well as full override. That's right. They get the ability to permanently control enemies right at the start of their training. Now, Hijackers are stuck with the SMG. Their guns do 0 damage. They get a Gremlin, and they get the standard slot that everyone gets. Usually I just do something supportive like that. Let's go take a look at their tree. Now, their tree is based purely upon hacking. A very, very fun class. First perk that you take will always be supercharged right here. 2 uses of the full override is just too good to take. Or too good not to take, rather. You do get access to stasis if you want a little bit more combat prowess on them, but really, like, you really should just be mind controlling 2 drones permanently on every mission. They will be a stealth unit, and hacking does not reveal you from stealth. So essentially, this soldier gets to act as not only a scout, but also gets to take a drone from the enemy team, so they can essentially scout while taking actions, in a sense. Kind of like summoning minions and stuff. Very useful. I'll probably be taking stuff that doesn't relate to combat, so we won't be taking surprise. This is an okay ability, grant Overwatch to a visible ally. I personally prefer to resupply. There will be plenty of times where there's certain soldiers that have abilities that require lots of ammo and they won't have it. You can use resupply to help them out a bit. Sergeant perk over here, you are always taking botnet. This is just so good. Activate to allow your squad standard shots to reduce the enemy's hack defense by 10. Lasts for 1 turn and has a 5-turn cooldown. So imagine this, right? You have a team of 8 people on a big mission, like let's say you're on a black site or something, and a sectopod pops out. You pop the botnet, and all 7 of your other teammates just shoot at the sectopod, and it loses 70 hack defense. And immediately you just get a 100% full override, and you just take it. That is what botnet provides for your soldier here. It's very, very good. You take this. After that, we have access to a couple of other perks over here. We can take Fade, we can take Airdrop, we can take Steadfast. I like Steadfast personally. It allows us to not lose control of our mind-controlled units. Now, that doesn't affect full override, because whatever you full override is permanently on your team, even if you get mentally impaired. However, later on, you're going to get a perk that allows you to temporarily control stuff, and Steadfast will allow you to maintain control over it. Low profile is okay. I think Recon's a little bit better. You're already in stealth, so low profile is not as helpful since you're not planning on getting shot at too often. Recon allows you to scout the area, marking all hostiles in a large cone while remaining hidden. Marked targets take 10 to 20% more damage. A nice little percentage damage boost. Finally, you get some choices over here. This is actually kind of a hard choice because all 3 of these perks are good. Napalm Protocol. Send the gremlin over, light everything on fire. That's very good. Stealth Protocol. If you're doing a stealth team, that's also very good. Manual Override. Lowers all ability cooldowns on a selected ally soldier by up to 3 turns. That is also a very, very good perk. I think overall I would probably pick this one just to synergize with our stealth squad. But personally, if I were to just pick a really good generalist perk, it would be between Manual Override and Napalm Protocol. There's a lot of powerful abilities in Ted Jam, and all of them tend to be locked behind cooldowns, so if you can reduce your cooldowns, that's very helpful. Napalm Protocol is also just a huge one. You just light an entire group of enemies on fire, you know? Like, that's amazing. That's just an AoE stun. You just point and click, no accuracy checks at all. I think if I were to say one perk as like the best perk in terms of generalist picks, it would probably be Napalm Protocol. But for our purposes, we're going to be taking Stealth Protocol to fit with the stealthiness for our team. After that, you have access to Slave Drive, By My Command, and Capacitor Discharge. The Hijacker makes for an excellent officer, so By My Command is actually a great perk pick for them. Capacitor Discharge is great for damage if you want to do that, although I prefer not to damage the goods, you know? Like, don't want to damage the mechs, we want to take them for ourselves. And that's where Slave Drive comes in. Never ask when you can take. Gain the Haywire Protocol ability when equipped with a Gremlin or Bit secondary. Additionally, your full Override ability gains a bonus charge. So essentially, I know this perk is bugged, I don't know if they ever fixed it, but if this is working as intended, you get the ability to use Haywire Protocol, and you get to now full override up to 3 mechanical enemies on a mission. That is just so good. I'm going to be taking this always. So Slave Drive is the way to go. And that is going to be our build. Now, let's take a look at some of their perks down here. Anything that involves dealing damage, we can just automatically write off and ignore. Mine Layer maybe, because it's not like damage from your gun, it's damage from explosives. Hostage Protocol is an interesting one though. Send the gremlin to an enemy to take them hostage, stunning them. The hostage can be used as full cover, and using this ability will break concealment. This is actually kind of a very interesting ability. It's a stun that's on demand, and you get 2 uses per mission, 3 with supercharge. I think a stun on demand is just too good to pass up. Even though it breaks your concealment, I would probably always take that. Reconnoiter is good also. We've talked about this one in the past. Maim, that's another interesting one, and finally Aid Protocol. I think with the soldier, we're going to take these 3 perks. This is 10, 25, 45 points. That's just enough to learn with average combat intelligence. Now, while you're in concealment, and if you're not hacking an enemy, all you're able to do is provide orders for your teammates. However, with Aid Protocol, now you can actually defend your teammates. You can throw battle scanners from stealth, and you can maintain your stealth. And then if the situation calls for it, then you can use Hostage Protocol to stun an enemy. But overall, this is a very nice supporting build. Very happy with it, and I'm very happy that I got Derek Lau on the team. I was really sad that I didn't get a Hijacker at first, but now that we have one, I'm super happy. Very excited for this team composition, I think. Alright guys, that is going to be the end for today's strategic lair. We have all of our soldiers trained up now. Our future strategic lairs probably won't be as long as the recent ones here. So, we'll see you guys next time for a mission to grab ourselves a scientist. 7 to 9 enemies. Thanks for watching, you guys. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this little ramble that we just had. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. It really helps out the channel. Till next time, bye-bye.